Good evening. I'm Fox 5 Storm Team Meteorologist Jonathan Stacey, and we are tracking severe storms moving across North Georgia on this Friday night. There are a slew of severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect for the area, and they are now impacting the immediate Atlanta metro area. As we go through the next few minutes, I'll be pointing out what the threats are, where the current alerts are, discussing a bit of what has happened overnight going into the evening hours and what we can expect for what will be another active day tomorrow. I hope you all are staying safe. Remember, if you are in the area that is under a severe thunderstorm warning, it's not a tornado warning. However, you do need to make sure you're seeking shelter and sheltering in place, staying there until that warning expires. Heavy rain, especially if you're out and about on the roads, not the best conditions to be in. And then you add thunder and lightning to the mix. That's when the storms can turn deadly, cause injuries. We don't want any of that happening tonight. These storms also known for producing hail along with damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles an hour. So let's go ahead and dive in to the current alerts that are currently in effect. There's a severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect for pretty much all counties to the north and to the west of the I-85 corridor. However, we do have some particular warnings that I want to point out where we have the most potent storms at this hour. Now, Fulton County is safely in the warning area. Here's Fulton right here. There's a portion of DeKalb, but it's North DeKalb. As you cross over from Sandy Springs, this would be an area that really includes Dunwoody at best and possibly a few communities just to the north of the mall here. But Sandy Springs, Buckhead, of course, this part of Atlanta going out to the west and then crossing over the 285 perimeter out into Cobb County from Mableton up to Smyrna, Dobbins Air Reserve Base, and yes, that includes the Braves Stadium where they're currently in a game right now. In fact, we may have a live lookout that we can throw up in just a second here, but this is I-75 and this takes you to the Cobb Cloverleaf right there, and we're seeing a pretty steady downpour in that area. But that is a severe thunderstorm warning that basically takes over half the area. I want to go down south first here because we're looking at some cells that are breaking out over Coweta County. This includes Coweta and Fayette County, and it will go until 10 o'clock. So at this point, we have 30 minutes to ride with this severe thunderstorm warning that is to the south of the metro area. It also encompasses a bit of Fairburn just to the south, so the extreme southern sliver of South Fulton County. As you get down into I-85, you can see there are some very menacing and nasty cells there, and we're getting word that those could be microbursts, storms that really just erupt on their own, and they push out some really extreme damaging winds. We'll inspect those in just a moment here. But first, we have this severe thunderstorm warning as we climb to the north that does include Fulton, and it is in effect until 10 o'clock. It will likely be extended further to the east as we get deeper into the hour here. But this not only includes Fulton, but it includes Douglas County, Douglasville. You're drying out there, but just to the south as you approach Six Flags here along I-20, you have a really strong storm here. That storm system connected to the storms that are also moving just to the north of Mableton into the Smyrna area. Marietta, you're under the warning as well as we climb into Cobb County. So let's continue our track to the north. From Dunwoody up to Roswell, you have another piece of that warning, if you will, but then in another box there is another warning that's in effect. Now, as you can see here, this is slightly off because this looks at the severe thunderstorm watch. I want to point out the warning specifically, and this is the warning for Fulton County. This is the north warning for Fulton County, and it includes Alpharetta, Milton. That's 400 right there, and that takes you into Forsyth County. It's a long one. It even goes into portions of Hall County, just outside of Gainesville, including Lake Lanier and Dawson County. It's in effect until 10:15 p.m. And then let's climb a little bit further to the north because we have more warnings here. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that includes White County and also Lumpkin County. Dahlonega right there, Cleveland right there, and it extends even further up to the north to include Towns and Union counties, and it looks like we have a warning that is just to the north of the state line. I've covered all of the active warnings. There's still some warned storms as we look behind this initial line, but really from north to south, I shouldn't have left anyone out at this point. And those are the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have in place. I want to zoom in here and look at these particular storms. You can see that pretty much all of the storms are part of a line. There's some linear activity here, but with these particular cells that are near the radar site, really covering Fayette County going down to I-85, in Coweta, Noonan, Grantville, going up to Peachtree City. These storms are known as particular storms that could really create microbursts, and these microbursts can give us some really damaging winds. So with that said, I want to analyze these storms here because this is where we're expecting to have our highest wind threat. Now, throughout the night and even into the afternoon, we were tracking these storm cells, and really the primary concern for a bulk of the time was that these storms would likely be some significant hail-producing storms. So we're talking about hailstones in excess of quarter size. However, as we get into the overnight hours, the late evening into the overnight hours, the threat is turning a bit away from hail to those high winds that could be damaging winds like we experienced overnight in Floyd County. So as we take a look at this picture here, when we look at the bright colors, if we look at winds going towards the radar site here, this is in Fayette County from Tryon down to Peachtree City. You can see it. These are some really bright colors. So I want to get a sampling of the winds. We're not looking for rotation at this point, but we're looking for some really high winds. That's a 40-mile-per-hour wind, 41. It's kind of getting clustered up here, but this will give you an idea of just how potent some of these individual cells may be. Looking just to the west there of Sonoy, we have 26 and 27 mile-per-hour winds. Okay, so the winds are not exactly impressive, but with a microburst, we would not be able to detect it precisely on air to give you a perfect wind estimate. We're talking about winds that could easily be in excess of 60, 70, even 100 mile-per-hour winds that only last for a few seconds, but nonetheless, those seconds in which they do endure, they can cause a lot of damage in a very short period of time. So I want to go now and turn on a feature here that we call our Baron button, because this will tell us exactly what may be in the storm cell. And so as we look at Noonan, going up to Moreland, we're not just seeing small pieces of hail here. This is why the storm is warned. It's because we have 1-inch hail. This is at least quarter-size hail on either side of I-85. That's the same story as you make your way up into South Fulton, clipping portions of Douglas County and Fayette County, making your way to the north. These are hail-producing storms. If you have not protected your property at this point, it's not worth risking your life, causing injury to yourself, to go out and move anything at this point. Where we see these purple splotches here, these are going to be the areas that are not only where we have warned storms, but these are areas where we're dealing with pockets of hail falling from those storms. So just to the west of 575 in northern portions of Cherokee County, you're getting your second batch, at least your second batch of hail for today tonight of Forsyth County along with Dawson County, and we'll even throw Lumpkin County in the mix here. You're seeing a hail producing storm there. Into the metro area down near Alpharetta along 400, just over the county line there in the Halcyon area, you're seeing an impressive hail core likely with these storms. Let's look at the cell individually. Okay, the hail core is actually weakening a bit, so I don't expect these hail sizes to be as impressive, but I do want to take a look at them really quick and see if I can get a solid measurement. Okay, so based on what I'm seeing at this point, it looks like, yeah, these are about ½ inch. So we're looking at anywhere between a dime and nickel sized hail as you make your way up 400. And it's likely the same story as you get down here to Sandy Springs and Dunwoody. Okay, so the storm of the hour is going to be this cell down here, this couplet of cells. Ooh, it's just very nasty as it moves over portions of Coweta County. So many of you are joining us from everywhere across the southeastern United States, certainly here in Georgia. You are watching our coverage. We are on our social media platforms here at Fox 5, and we are on Fox Local, and we'll be here and we'll kick up the 10 o'clock news in about 25 minutes or so. But until then, I want to answer some of the questions that are coming in on social media. So I'm going to ask that you bear with me here as I get on the proper channels to make sure I'm able to answer any questions that you may have at this time. Okay, so at this point in time, I do not believe our team has launch this on Facebook, but if you will do that, as you're listening to me right now, and get the comments going if you actually have questions about what's going on in your neighborhood, I would hope to answer those for you here live. We're waiting on that to happen at any moment. So I want to spend some time with this storm cell here and track it and see exactly where it's going. So for those of you in Moreland, St. Charles going up to Oaklawn, all the way into East Newnan. Here's Newnan High School there downtown just to the north. And you can see that this is just a really solid batch of really large hail. At this point, you're looking that like we could possibly have hail that is larger. We're getting into the golf ball size range here. And now you can see new information just coming in that severe thunderstorm watch has been extended further to the east. So it now includes counties like Coweta that we're looking at right now, and likely many other counties to the east. We'll look at that in just a moment, but the clear and present threat is just how significantly large this hail is. We're talking about hail that could be up to golf ball sized. Oakland going up here to Raymond and to East Newnan. Let me get another, this is 1 inch. Okay, so as we look down here near Stevens Crossroads, that's where we're seeing the largest pockets of hail. We do have a few fancy tools here, and it's not to show off, but this always gives us a really solid measurement of exactly how high the hail could be lofted in the atmosphere. And why is it important that we show you, or we assess as meteorologists, how high the hail is going, or how high it is lofted in the atmosphere? Well, when we get a measure of how high it's going, or an indication of how high those hailstones are being tossed in the air, that gives us an indication of what size the hailstone could be as it falls to the ground. So we're looking at hailstones at this point in time that are somewhere as high as about 15,000 feet in the air, between 15 and 20,000 feet. This is 30,000 feet in the air, and that's where planes fly. They fly up here and higher. So in this kind of mid-range right here, this is anywhere between 10 to 20,000 feet, and we're seeing hailstones just go as high as 10,000 feet or even greater. And so with that extreme height, given the nature of this storm, that means that that cold air has plenty of time to toss those hailstones around, and there is a lot of space between the surface and 15,000 feet. And so those hailstones are tossed around in the storm, and they grow in size. And so that's why we're seeing with this particular storm, with these heights rising some 15,000 feet above our heads, that when these stones hit the ground, they're not hitting the ground as penny or dime sized hail. We're talking about large hail, 1.5 inches. And that once again puts you in the golf ball range. So some very severe hail once again hitting hard as you look at Coweta. So where is this storm cell going next? That's really the big question. If you can make a move really quick and move your car, I would. The areas that I'm going to be watching at this point are Raymond going over to the Godwin Road area. This is Poplar Road, and then you have Marion Beavers Road. This is East Coweta High School, and this is Sharpsburg. Many of you know this area well, especially if you're driving out of Newnan, going to Sharpsburg right here. This is the road you would take. Let's zoom in here, get some of our streets coming up. And you're going to find out that this cell is going to move right here along the roadway. I'm going to zoom in as much as I can because this road is not coming to mind off the top of my head. I believe that's Sharpsburg Highway. I just have to think of it off the top of my head. But you have it right here at I-85, and this is Oaklawn, and just make a trip to the east, and that puts Raymond right in the bullseye for this storm to move in your direction. For those of you in Oak Ridge, you've probably found some pieces of hail going up to Long Street, Rocky Shoals Estates. Sharpsburg, you'll likely be in the conversation in just a few minutes here for a very, very strong and vicious storm. I want to check out our wind threat, which seems to be the lesser of the issue tonight. There's also a part of the storm that I want to check out too to see if there's any possibility of rotation. And we're getting some signs that there could be some rotation. This is Highway 54 right here. Highway 54, Gordon Road. I'll be interested to see if you all have any immediate wind damage. Once again, we're zoomed in really tightly right now on Coweta County. This is now Sid Hunter Road. There's Gordon Road right there. And we got some indications that there could possibly be some weak rotation just off Highway 54 near the Gordon Road intersection in Coweta County. We'll watch that area to see if those storms react. We're getting pretty close to the radar site here, so we may get some false returns, but in and around Peachtree City, we're also getting our rotation detectors also getting a couple little streaks that we're tracking here, and these would have happened within the past 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes give or take, anywhere between Shoal Creek Forest, that's on the Coweta side, cross the county line, Peachtree City right here now into Coweta, and that would be as far to the east as maybe even Cobblestone Creek, going out to Fisher's Bank, all the way up into the Whitfield Farms and McIntosh High School area. It's a very busy area here along 54, but once again, this is right exactly where you could have found some rotation, anywhere between 54, which runs basically east to west, and then you have the famous Joel Cowan Parkway here that runs right through Peachtree City, the main artery. So as we zoom out here, there are not too many areas that I'm concerned about in terms of rotation, but we're going to have to watch these cells because they're not really organized as they move out of Coweta and over I-85 headed towards Fayetteville. We have a couple cameras in the Fayetteville area. Can someone check on our Fun Spot camera if you have a chance? We are getting some information in as folks are joining us from Facebook, and I believe that has been launched. I've been asking you about your questions that you may have. I think we may have some of this. Thank you for your help. Many people around here. There's a number of people around helping us out tonight. So let's roll through some of these. Some of you are asking about other counties to the east. At this point, we are seeing the extension of a severe thunderstorm warning, and that now includes Gwinnett County, and it goes until 2 a.m. These are going to be, there's a line, a secondary line that's developed here. It's kind of fragmented in nature. Thank you for this. I appreciate it. There's a secondary line that has developed with this storm system, if you can follow me here. So anywhere from all the way down 85 Noonan, stretching all the way up into Cumming. And so these storms are starting to hit metro Atlanta as we speak, but this is not the strongest of the line. There's still more activity back here, but because the atmosphere is being worked over with this initial line, that's likely the products of what we call an outflow boundary, meaning winds are pushing out from the big shield of storms, and that's spawning, obviously, strong winds, wind shear, and also those storms are running into an environment that has likely, in some cases, not dealt with anything at all today, and we're getting some pretty decent hail-producing storms because it's just so cold in the higher levels of the atmosphere. So when you get these rounds of rumbles of thunder and heavy downpours, just keep in mind that there's more action to the north and to the west that will fill in as we get into the wee hours of Saturday morning. Talking about that new thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm warning here that is in effect for Gwinnett County as far to the east as Gwinnett County until 10:30. That includes Fayette County, Henry County, a sliver of Henry County, all of DeKalb County, a generous portion of Gwinnett here, and then we also have a new one popping up that's now catching my attention as you go up into portions of White County. And that's going to last until 10:15. We're going to watch that one closely because it could definitely start to rear up as it rolls into Habersham County. So right now, White, you're under the warning, but if you're in Habersham, get ready because you're about to get hit. What we have likely been seeing over the past couple hours is the kind of the walking down of this severe thunderstorm watch. So all the counties that are shaded in yellow here are under the watch. According to the National Weather Service, word has come in that the watch will go until 2 o'clock. It will likely be canceled before then, because if you look back here at Polk County, you can't see because the radar is pretty inundated with heavy rain. But Polk County going up I-75, you don't see a yellow box, and that's because that severe thunderstorm watch is no longer in place for those communities. You have a severe thunderstorm watch where you still could run into some of those severe storms. We're going to have to leave you here in a couple seconds as we gear up for the 10 o'clock news. I'm going to run through this just to make sure there are no pressing or pertinent questions. Typically, once again, our main concern with severe thunderstorms are damaging wind gusts and also hail. And the main issue of the night has been hail-producing storms. Now, in terms of news coming in about a water spout on Lake Lanier, we have video that confirms that. We have not confirmed that it was a tornado, meaning that that particular water spout started on land, moved onto Lake Lanier, or as it moved off Lake Lanier, moved onto land. We kind of get in all the text when it comes to these things, but when it comes to knowing if a tornado impacted your property, that's a big deal to the emergency management team, to insurance companies. So right now we're not going to call it a tornado, but we can say that there was rotation on Lake Lanier in the form of a water spout, and the video is absolutely incredible. It's spectacular. It's something to see, and we'll have that coming up on the news at 10. That said, I will be tracking these storms into the 10 o'clock news, so if you can give us a break just to kind of reset our bearings, we're going to be with you during the 10 o'clock hour. Of course, I'll break in as soon as we get a new watch or warning, or the watch is extended, or a new warning for any community across North Georgia. Stay safe tonight, because this is not the only night that we're going to have to deal with this. We could possibly be dealing with storms through this time tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be a little iffy. We'll be tracking those storms as well. We got you covered. Once again, I'm Jonathan Stacey, and thank you for joining us. And I'll see you in about 12 minutes on the 10 o'clock news.